cell-cultivated or lab-grown meat. So this is not a video for the haters out there. This is not a video for the people who want to be for or against cell-cultivated meat. In my opinion, there is no such thing as being for or against a food product. This is really just to explain what cell-cultivated meat is, why it has become such a political controversy, and this is not, if you want to hate against it, you need to watch a different video. This is not for you. We're trying to stick with the facts here. So let's first dig into what cell-cultivated meat actually is. So cell-cultivated meat usually starts with an animal. So you can have a slaughtered animal or you can use a living animal. And then typically most of the industry is using muscle cells or muscle tissue to start their cell culture that they then produce the product from. So in those muscle tissue, we have what we call muscle stem cells, and those muscle stem cells are very potent. They can be replicated and then create a new tissue around them. And that is what this entire idea of cell-cultivated meat, poultry, or seafood is based on, that you can retrieve those muscle stem cells, put them into cell culture, grow them, and then produce a meat-like product that is a good protein source for humanity. So that is the idea behind it. Those muscle stem cells, they have to be cleaned up through like filtration and enzymatic processes until you have like a very clean, only muscle stem cell culture. And then that culture can be incubated in a medium. So that medium is very complex and has a lot of different ingredients in it, vitamins, hormones, nutrients, etc. Some media also rely on fetal bovine serum, which is an ethical, very controversial component. There is a big push to go to FBS-free media, but that's a research question. Often FBS-free media are not as effective, or they're not effective at all. But there are some companies who have figured it out and who are using FBS-free media already in their product. But that's one of the big problems in this whole industry of cell-cultivated meat that I want to get into a little bit later. So now you have your cleaned up muscle stem cells, and you do have the medium in which they can grow, and then you incubate those, and then that eventually, after a couple of other steps, eventually will give you a product that you then can, that is meat-like, and that is a clean source of protein. So now the cell-cultivated meat industry itself is very much still a startup-based company industry. So around 180 startup companies, and 40 of them are in the United States, and they all heavily rely on research and development to get to a product. So most of those companies don't produce a product that you actually can buy in a store or like anywhere at the moment. And then there are a few companies that, especially in the United States, there are 2 companies that have got permission to sell one poultry product to just a few restaurants in the United States. And those 2 products that were sold in 2023 to those restaurants, they're not available at the moment as well. So, and that really speaks for the big problems, or not problems, for the big roadblocks that this industry still faces at this point of time. And that is mostly cost related. So to have the cell media and to produce like a cell-grown or cell-cultivated meat, poultry, or seafood product, and you work with stem cells, you can't use food-grade ingredients. You have to use pharmaceutical-grade ingredients to produce those products. So those are very expensive, and that leads to very high cost in those industries. The second big problem they have, the second big problem this industry faces is a sustainability question. Because you are in the cell culture, you use a lot of energy to actually grow the cell culture, and there are real concerns about if they use similar processes with similar ingredients, will they be actually more sustainable than typical livestock industries, which is the main promise of this industry, is to develop with less carbon footprints and more sustainable, and environmentally and more sustainable than the traditional meat industry. So now the bottom line of this is, I talked a lot. The bottom line of this is that you can't buy any cell cultivated meat anywhere at the moment in the United States, even if you would like to. The bottom line is also, this industry can only produce cell cultivated meat in very small quantities at the moment. There's no way they can produce a product that can compete with any traditional meat product in the shelf at this point of time. This is not happening. So there's a lot of research and there's a lot of innovation that has to go into this industry before they will be even potentially be able to produce a product like this. The reason investors worldwide, not just in the United States, but worldwide, investing into this industry, because they see a potential for this industry to become more sustainable in the future, when we have higher populations, more demand for protein, and at the same time we need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, not just in agriculture, everywhere, of course, but also in agriculture and also in livestock production. And that is one of the big reasons why those alternative protein industries, not just the cell cultivated meat industry, but also alternative protein industries like mushroom-based industries, protein industries, or plant-based protein industries, or even insect-based protein industries, are at the moment attracting investor money to create new processes of more sustainable protein production. So that's the goal, that's the main goal of those industries. But they're not there yet. They're not there yet. So you don't find those products, and it will take a long time before those products will be even remotely available in the shelf space. The question remains, at that point of time, is traditional livestock industry even still sustainable? Are they making enough money? Are they economically sustainable? What are the threats to that industry at that point? But today, cell cultivated meat is not a threat to the meat producing industry in the United States or anywhere, really. It is not. It is simply not. It's not a competitor. It's not a threat. So then the question becomes, why are there some states in the United States that have criminalized this by law? Especially Alabama and Florida have put out, there's several states in the United States that have put out laws around cell cultivated meat, labeling laws and other laws, very much ahead of the curve, very much before even a product is on the shelf. But there are some laws that have blank out criminalized the production and the sale of cell cultivated meat, seafood, and poultry products. And that's mostly Florida and Alabama who have done that. And then the question is, why does it become criminalized? So I kind of digged a little bit more into this, and there was, of course, like, on the one side, people said this is a threat to the meat producing industry, especially to the cattle producing industry. Florida has a very large cattle producing industry. And it is not. It is simply not. It can't be a threat, because there's no beef product that is being created with cell cultivated meat that is available at the moment. And then there's literally no product available, cell cultivated meat. So it's not a threat to the meat industry at the moment. That is just fear mongering. And then the second part is some politicians, especially in Florida, have used conspiracy theories to justify their actions. And that is really the more concerning part, because this is when food and agriculture eventually, and innovation and research eventually, gets dragged into the mud of so-called culture wars and unfunded conspiracy theories about some elite plot in the world that wants us to eat like insects or like cell cultivated meat or whatever, and wants to force people to do that. That is just that's very, I mean, that's BS. That's absolutely and in my opinion, this is like really the bigger threat. So states could go ahead and say, we don't want to invest tax money into this. States could go ahead and say, we do want to, make labeling laws ahead of the time. That's all fine and totally justified. but banning it before it's even there and taking that choice from the consumer, I think that's the wrong decision. And I do want to show also, like, consumers are pretty split on this. There's around 50% of people who would not buy it, or who are even disgusted with eating cell-cultivated lab-grown meat. And then there are other people who would prefer it because of sustainability or ethical reasons. The point is, it's not available yet, so nobody can really make that decision before it's actually available. And taking that decision from the consumer is the wrong choice for any state in the United States to make, really. That's more like an authoritarian type of thing that you would see in those kind of like countries, you know. And then the big thing is also, and that's the last thing I want to say, agriculture and food and innovation are way too important to be dragged into those culture wars and conspiracy theories by anyone, be it a politician or be it a non-politician. And we all should understand that agriculture, food production, and research is all here to help us continue to have food security in the US. And it's not perfect. None of this is perfect, but it is better than dragging it into the conspiracy theory realm where it doesn't belong at all. And that's all I have to say. I'll see you next time. Of course, I'll see you next time. Subscribe to the channel, and glad you guys are here. See you next time.